finished, don't watch the television. Once your work is finished, find something constructive to add to your mind. Have an hour for reading. And I don't mean read comic books. Read something that will make you know what's happening. So when you get in a conversation, you can sound intelligent, even if you aren't. Do you hear me what I'm saying?
Hey. Today is Labor Day, 2019. Oh man, another year almost over. Oh man, I had the day off today. Feeling real good. Relaxed myself yesterday, did a little barbecuing, but just relaxing again, getting ready. Next coming week, football season is it's a week away. New Orleans Saints play. You know, I live in the New Orleans area, so you already know that's a big deal down here. If you're not from here, it's a big deal down here. But I don't want to talk about sports today. Probably do my own NFC on picks next week. But I want to talk about a book. And I don't really want to talk about as much, I don't want to talk about the actual book as much as I want to talk about this guy, Donald Goines. If you don't know who Donald Goines is, you really need to Google him like right now. Stop the video, Google him, and find out who he is. Just a little backstory. His parents owned a cleaners or some type of business. He is black. He was born, I don't think he was born in Detroit, but he was raised in Detroit, Michigan. I guess his parents probably came, black migration, from the South somewhere. I'm assuming this, I don't know. He went to the military and got hooked on heroin, came back, and just lived that life. But he actually started writing about the streets that he was in. And there's another guy, Iceberg Slim, also. I don't know who did it first or whatever, but Donald Goines was like one of the first. He was a pioneer. And I mean, you got hip hop music today, you got movies, you got shows like Power and all. At that time, there was censorship in America. They didn't even talk about like this kind of stuff, It was like just a little small pocket, like a backroom deal. And mainstream television or mainstream media, I'm not talking about news, but mainstream, just anything, didn't talk about this, this kind of stuff about poor black people and drug addicts and pimps and, you know what I mean? Like, people, you had to really live in that area, or you really had to be into it to know like all this was going on, and it was basically ignored, And some people might feel that's a good thing because it didn't have the influence like it has today, when you have kids that have no business being in this lifestyle, but they make it, they make it look good. They only show you that one side, the fun side, I call it, but they don't show you about the hospitals and the courtrooms and the solitary confinement and addiction and, people selling their children for a hit and all that, But he goes dark. I mean, he goes deep, I tried to read him when I was younger, but I just couldn't take it, being that, I wasn't raised in that environment. So I really didn't understand, but I read this book called Never Die Alone. I actually saw the movie first, and I just wanted to read it because I had never read Donald Goines. So, and it's pretty close to the movie. And then I looked on YouTube, did not see any reviews for the book. I saw a few reviews for the movie. So in the book, if you have seen the movie, if you haven't, you ought to watch the movie too. DMX is awesome in that movie. That guy could have been an Academy Award winning actor if he really would have like gotten to the craft, and he had drug problems and just life, so, but he was excellent in this movie, man. It's about this guy, King David. This is the book, you watch the movie. I'm not gonna talk about the movie no more, but In the book, King David, he comes back to New York. He had been in California for 5 years. And I mean, this guy was just soulless. This guy had no heart whatsoever. You know, I don't know. I guess he was born and raised in Harlem. They talk about Uptown a lot, you know, Manhattan. And this guy was just like the stereotypical ice cold drug dealer. I mean, you know, and the way he treated women and described women is amazing. You know what I'm saying? Especially when a lot of these guys in these areas are raised by single mothers. I never understood that. Like most guys that's like raised by single mothers. Cause I wasn't raised by a single mother. I wasn't raised by my mother at all. But it seems like they hate women, like, you know. I mean, this dude was vicious. He would get girls and, you know, most of them was snorting cocaine, and he would mix heroin into it, you know, and then get them strung out and, you know, have them selling it for him or, you know, prostituting for him or whatever. Oh, man, it was just dark, man. You know, that's why I never could be in that lifestyle. I never understood the mind of a pimp. You know, I'm all about freedom and letting people do what they want to do. I want everybody to do whatever they want to do. I'm not into controlling anybody because I'm an introvert. So if you're doing what you want to do, you leave me alone. That's how I feel. That's always how I've been. I wouldn't, if you a whore and you want to sell, you know, sex, go ahead, baby. That's your thing. Get away from me. I never understood the mentality of a pimp, but, you know, anyway. He, you know, he comes back, you know, he had robbed this guy out of some drugs or something. Moon, they called him. He was the big guy or whatever. So Moon, he goes to give Moon his money, and one of Moon's guys that were working for him was this kid that, you know, of one of the prostitutes or women that he was dealing with, you know. So I mean, so that kid remembered him. The kid kills him, you know. And now Moon is upset because he killed him and he didn't want it, you know, he don't want it to come back to him, the police or whatever. So they go to kill him. And it's an awesome book. If you haven't seen the movie or if you haven't read the book, I would tell you to do both. So, and I mean, there's some little differences from the movie and from the book, you know, but I mean, just that character of King David, man, I think he could have, Mr. Goines, had he lived, because he died violently, him and a woman that he was dealing with, they were found in their house with multiple gunshot wounds. In real life, this is how the author died, you know, because he was in that lifestyle also. So read Donald Goines, and, you know, any young person that is watching this, like, you know, stay away from drugs, man. Stay away from illegal drugs, you know. I can't tell you from my experience, because it was something that I always, since a child, like, I never wanted to be involved in at all. I made that decision very early in my life that I would never want to be involved in drugs, you know. Like, just reading this, just, you know, I know it has value, but I would like more and more kids to read this, because he goes into the dark side, you know. I mean, with hip hop, and, you know, they glamorize it. That was the word I wanted to use. Hip hop and a lot of these movies. I watched the new Superfly. Like, they glamorize this lifestyle, and I don't understand that. Most of the time, if you do make it there, it's 1 in a million shot. You know, because the law enforcement, I mean, that's their career, you know. And then the guys that don't make it, I mean, come on, man. I just can't understand. I couldn't imagine sitting up in prison for 20 years, 30 years. You know, there's this guy, you know, and I'm not going to say no names, but I don't know. It's just something that I don't want to even, like, be a part of it. Like, it does nothing for me. Never did. But Donald Goines, man, if you're interested in that lifestyle, or even as like a deterrent, and you have kids, young people, and all young people should read these books. I'm going to read the other ones too. He has some more called Whoreson and Daddy Cool and some of the other books. I'm gonna read them all, just, you know, because this man, he was a great writer, you know, and he probably would still be living today, or he would have left a legacy. I mean, because all of his stuff is like, it was so revolutionary, you know. This stuff was written in the 70s, you know, so that means he came up in the 60s, and man, you know, and it's always been going on in many urban areas, but it wasn't in the art like it is today. Now it's like mainstream. Like, you can't even really do art unless you're talking some kind of way you're talking about that subset of the culture, you know. So Donald Goines, check him out.